So, hi everyone. This is part of the research I started long ago when I was in university. And thanks to my friend Ebru Yetişkin, who encouraged me to go further, I did start these series of videos because I thought it was much more interesting than just to give a lecture, and it could stay as a work. And therefore, it was really intense because I thought I could do them in 2 months, but actually I needed more time. And I can always look back and see some, mishappenings and say, oh, I wish I did this like that or that like this. But it's okay. I mean, it's all I could do during 2 months. And I think I will just keep on progressing and keep on kind of changing the concept of the video and maybe do something much more longer and much more intense. It was kind of an introduction, and this introduction kind of made me see all the things I should add in the future. So it's just kind of a chronological process of how the immersive cinema kind of affected our way of seeing, or like just not immersive cinema, but cinema by itself affected our way of seeing. And there's always more to say. So that's the challenge, actually, because you have to give a decision. You have to say, okay, I have to stop there because otherwise it's going to be forever. So I did make a decision to make them 45 minutes, which was kind of short for the content, but it had to be compressed somehow. So I did compress all the research, and it just became a 3-part video with an introduction, and then the historical part, and then a conclusion about today's popular culture. And so basically, this is it. And if you have more questions, I don't know. It's just been, when you finish a project 3 days ago and you just start to talk about it 3 days later, you're still kind of tired. So it's totally my responsibility. But I'm kind of waiting for your questions rather than explaining myself. So maybe it would be much more interesting if you ask something and I can just answer about that. And yes, maybe Ekmel just, could kind of. Yeah, are you?
Yeah, okay.
Sorry.
Yeah, of course.
I think
okay.
Help me out with that.
Yeah, thank you for the videos and for your work, hard work, that we can see it through the videos. So, I mean, for the other audience and the streaming audience, the videos can be seen in the same YouTube channel, and it is Absorbing Ignorance, Experiential Illusions, the titles of videos, and there are 3 videos. And of course, 1, 2, 3, so there is an order. And yeah, you can watch the videos if you are watching this event without watching them. So now my question was, actually, at the beginning, we planned this as a series of lectures. Yep. So how did you decide to make them videos instead of a lecture, and why? I mean,
yeah, I'm a big fan of John Berger. And I do watch his, ways of seeing sometimes, like once every year, I do watch them. And I kind of, take notes and everything. And this year I was introducing him to a friend, and I was preparing the idea of making these lectures, and I was talking about John Berger nonstop. And then it just all became part of the same project. And then I decided to make a video because I thought it was much more interesting, because we always give lectures and it just reaches a certain kind of audience, but then this could be more understandable and it could reach a bigger and less academic audience as well, which is, I think, very interesting. Since I'm not in academy, I finished my MA 10 years ago, and I'm just, a practicing artist. So I really like to reach bigger audiences and just, different audiences, and just have different kind of conversations around this. And it was interesting, all the feedbacks I got during these past 3 days, and I'm really excited to see the future and what it will bring. And so I think it reached its purpose. So that's why John Berger was the starting point of everything, basically, his ways of seeing. And so, yes, if you have more questions.
Yeah, if anyone else has questions, please just turn on your microphone or camera or both, and welcome.
Hi, I have a question. I don't know if it will make much sense, but I'm trying to build it in my head right now. So at the first video, you were talking about these illusions that we create to escape reality. And there were some predictions about where it's gonna go in the future, and some theoreticians have some ideas. What do you think about this future of creating these illusions, and do you find them going to a dangerous place?
Well, personally, I think that whatever we predict for the future, it's always the contrary that happens. You know, we predicted a very technological era, but now we're stuck in these, you know, Zoom meetings, and it's just not what we assumed. So whatever we assume, it's always something much, you know, something else happens, and then the whole world changes. So I'm just not really into making predictions. But I think that when I research about all those VR directors and everyone who's really involved with the scene, I realized that there's this one title which is really important, which is in real life storytelling. So what we're really looking forward is just the fact that we just don't want, you know, we just don't want anything to break the illusion. We want more and more and more. And therefore, I think it's going to a certain place where we're going to just experience the stories rather than watching them or listening to them. So that's my prediction, but nothing more, because everything changes all the time. And just, I'm not really into those Oculus Rift technology. And I think it's just going to expand because it's really, really compressed. You know, you just watch something through a glass, whether like there are so much expanded formats, like expanded cinema, expanded theater, which means that we're going to have lots of hybrid systems in order to watch stories, but it's just more likely to be an experience rather than just watching or listening. So that's the future. But I'm not really thinking of some danger, because when we think of technology, you know, we say, oh, it's going to just destroy all of our civilization, but it is not true, because everything is technological and it derives from humans. So I think it's more interesting to investigate the human nature rather than investigating the future of technology, and it could just lead us to a certain answer which could be much more interesting, and to see how we create that technology and why do we create it, and that main motivation could just explain much more than the current technologies would explain. So that's my answer.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sabah. Maybe I can.
Do you have questions yourself?
I can add this. Your last section is quite, I mean, dystopic or kind of darkening.
You think so? I think it's the most colorful and the most, yes, I know.
No, I mean, in this social media and related issues and
yes.
reality and truth related problems, I don't know, maybe.
No, mine was
that's what I took. Huh?
Yes, sorry?
Maybe that is my understanding, or maybe it was not really.
No, it is definitely dystopic, and it is definitely a take on the current system. But, you know, I was just making a joke in the sense that it's so colorful and it's the popular media and it's all about the and, you know, the beautiful. Therefore, it was a joke. But yes, it is dystopic in that sense. But we already live inside that dystopia. It's been years and years, and all of our norms are formed around that. So I didn't do it thinking it was a dystopic video, but at the end, obviously, it all comes to the fact that it is dystopic, that we live in a dystopic time. It's almost like the future has arrived, and, you know, we always predicted, and now we cannot even talk about the future because we're living into it. When you look at all the curatorial, you know, texts of current exhibitions, you know, they're all examining the dystopia that we are currently living in. And it is no more a topic of the future. It is a topic of the present. So therefore, it was a take about the present rather than a prediction about the future. So yes, you're right. We're living in a kind of dystopia entangled with utopia. So it's a kind of, you know, cosmos. There's like this cosmic and like very atmospheric and very, you know, peaceful sense of being. We're trying to put ourselves inside, whereas on the other side, there's this real dystopia, which is hiding itself and which is under the guise of, you know, utopia. So therefore, I think they're all entangled in this time. And yes, that wasn't my purpose or intention, but it just came to that towards the end. You're right. Yep.
Thank you.
Let me check. There are 10 people. Yes. No, I'm just trying to realize about I'm just trying to understand the system, because it's the first time I'm, you know, like not in a Zoom meeting, but in a different meeting. Yeah. So I can see that there are lots of people. Yes.
So are there other questions?
I have another one. Hello again. The part you were talking about the dystopic environment of the third video, and the opening sequence was Britney Spears, yep, if I remember correctly. There's this new discussion around her with the documentary Framing Britney, and the way I see it is that people starting to realize those things with a much higher consciousness. So I think there's also a hope that newly building together. It's relatively new, but sorry, I'm struggling to talk right now.
Same here.
We are only now realizing the thing that happened around her and much more about these issues. But it's also promising that we are started to realize then them, and we are also progressing. And I saw some hope about this dystopian environment. What do you think about that?
It actually scares me to the point of, because we all have an idea today. You know, we have a good idea and a bad idea, whereas having a good idea is also part of the illusion, because we cannot really have a real idea since we don't really know it for real, you know. And for Britney, it's so funny because she's always my, you know, she's a symbol I use very often. And I do write a script, and in the script, I always envisioned her to, you know, be, actually, she was really clever. And so she went to Harvard and she wrote a text about, you know, feminism, and then she changed the world. So I always envisioned a kind of utopia for her. And, you know, the Free Britney movement right now is actually interesting, but I did not watch the documentary. It actually came out during the process I was doing these videos. So I didn't really have the time, but I'm really, really interested in it. And so, yes, it's just something we've been all part of. You know, we asked for those news, we asked for those superstars, we asked for everything, and then they just fed us. So it's also our responsibility and what we are looking for. And now that the media is shifting tremendously, I think all those things are shifting, but not in a very certain ways. There's this big element of uncertainty, and we think that since we are looking for her rights right now, that we are progressing, etc. But these are still very quick ideas we are giving about a subject that is delivered through media. So we always have to be careful about not really, you know, generating any personal ideas or opinions, because it's just so much, it's transient and it's always flowing, it's always changing. So we have to be like, total awareness, I think, is gaining a certain distance and just watching things without really getting carried away with them so often. So not either in a good way or in a bad way. I think I see them a bit similar, like the fact that we are really you know, angry towards someone, or that we love someone we don't know through the media, etc. They're not really different. That love and hate relationship, they're kind of similar, I think. If that answers your question. Sabah.
It does, thank you.
Thank you. So what can I explain about it more? Well, so the 3 parts were actually, they all generated themselves organically, because I did not know I was going to make an introduction. Then, you know, I did not know I was going to do the history of immersive cinema during the second part, and then about the conclusion. So because it all generated itself so organically, I think it kind of works as an introduction and as a conclusion, but that wasn't the purpose. So I'm also curious about if you all watched it, if you watched the 3 parts, do you see a kind of continuity, or do you think it's just like very much separated videos and separated ideas? So I'm really curious about that, because I'm asking these questions because it's a progressive work, and I think it's just going to progress. It's going to become like a maybe more extensive video work in the future, etc. So I need your feedbacks as well. It's very important for me. But I'm not sure if I was clear about the question. So maybe Ekmel, would you like to kind of help me with that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Maybe I need to watch them again.
Yeah, again.
Yeah. Once I watched yesterday, all together. Yeah, they were continuous. I mean, they are not episodic, but it's kind of related. But of course, it is the topics are quite deep, and yes, I don't know how you will extend this, but it was very interesting and nice told story, actually.
Okay, I'm happy to hear that. Yeah. The downside of these projects is that when you do it, you're not, it's always like, for instance, you're an artist, and the more you do an exhibition, the less you have time to read about art. And it was the same for this project. The more I worked into it, the less I could just think about the depth. It was more about, like this doing and making and cutting and then collecting and etc. And it was just like hectic. And towards the end, I watched it and I was like, okay, it makes sense. Next. But there's always more I want to say. And I just always want to say things in a different way. And it's just like, this is what makes the project keep going, actually. This is what makes me think of like making a new version in the future. It could be much more extensive. It could be, I could just focus on this more and this less, etc. So that's why I asked for feedbacks, because I think it's just going to be ongoing, and that's the fun of it, actually, because I just consider this research as my PhD because I'm not doing a PhD.
That's nice.
So my friends who try to convince me to do a PhD, I tell them, okay, when I finish this, I'll have a subject for my PhD. And they're like, no, you don't have to do that. You just can use this for your PhD. But I'm just like, making it an excuse, I think. And yes.
Super. Is there other questions? Okay, this semester, actually, this is the class we work together with Ozan. This semester we started with the theme of kind of the first 2 weeks, first two class was on inspiration, copyrights, and related issues. So now it might be a good example, your videos, because you used a lot of copy-paste material.
Yep.
And how did you handle this? And how did you handle the legal issues regarding that?
No way. No, I did not. And I've been asked by a friend if it was legal what I was doing. The fun part is that, once I find a video, I'm always very careful, and I'm like, oh, is what I'm doing legal? And then I realized that maybe 10 or 20 people used the same footage and nothing happened to them. So basically, I did not focus on the copyright, but maybe, it's just a found footage project. So in found footage projects, I'm not really thinking of copyrights, but you're right. I mean, if this is shown in a different context and a different place, it would be really important. But in this situation, it's just like a class where you show footages, but once you make it into a video, it's different. So it's very interesting to think about like the slight change that would change all the copyright rights, etc. That's really a case I should maybe think about in the future, but I'm not sure that in this case it is that majorly important. I'm not sure. So it could be a question I ask you.
No, I'm not an expert on that. Maybe Ozan can tell some things, but what is interesting is also, for example, one of the videos, not all of them, but which one? Let me tell you. when we uploaded to YouTube put a copyright claim restriction on it.
Oh.
So there, I mean, we cannot use it, for example, for monetization reasons. We cannot get money out of this video when, I mean, you know that YouTube's.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah, but I mean, the others can be because of their copyright claims. You can, I can send you the details. Actually, this is it's simple YouTube's procedure.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah. So this is now automatically, you know,
Declined.
deducted. So
yeah. Same goes for music. You know, when you use much more than 15 seconds, you have the same thing. But it's just not for, you know, for monetizing it, but it's just more like for researching it. So I'd be glad to change some footages if YouTube is not okay with it.
Sure, but this is this didn't prevent it to be seen. But in some cases, for the music videos that happened before, they don't let you to show the piece because of that music piece part you used in this video. But maybe music restrictions are different than the films, and I don't know. So this is not, we can still watch it. Just we cannot monetize it. That's the restriction.
Rightfully so. Because I mean, we're not looking to monetize it anyway. But yes.
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, of course.
Yeah. No. I mean, it just all depends on the purpose. I'm not really aware of all those restrictions and all those rules because I mean, I did work with found footage before, but you know, the length of the video is very important. And for the first time, it's a 45 minutes video. It's very much different than a 2-minute video. So I think the rules apply differently. And that is why I unfortunately did not have the time to look into it. And I just wished it was not going to be a problem for now. But I think that the purpose differs, and this is a video seminar. So it's just like in a class in which we open videos and just talk through them. I did not think it was going to be a big problem.
Yeah. But just an example, one of the exhibitions we made in, I forgot the name of the city in Germany. It was we exhibited in the gallery of a school, of an art university, and oh no, it was it was in Today's Art in Den Haag. We used one image. The artist used one image. It's a bird. It's an ordinary bird image. And then we moved that same exhibition to that school's gallery, and some company or some lawyers then reclaimed the rights about that image, and the school had to pay some €1,000 for the copyrights. But it is because it was in Germany, and because there are some guys who are following these kind of, you know, the gaps and making, I don't know, maybe money out of them, or because that picture actually was found on the internet, and it was, you know, there are several other resources that you can download that image, and it was, you know, it was but the school didn't want their name, you know, being such a case. They just paid and, you know, get rid of this.
But that's really interesting, because I think an artist has the right to make, you know, take that image and make a work about even the fact that it's not, you know, so that's a subject we should talk about it in the art field, because I think it is very different than the monetizing part, because this is, maybe they thought that since it was an exhibition, it could be sold, because people think that artists are gaining so much money, you know, and that's actually the part of the problem. And they're like, oh, you know, they took my image, so now they're going to make a lot of money from it. But, you know, that's not the case. So maybe it was like a misunderstanding in that sense. But yes, it is a very different subject in which we should talk about, because I mean, I should be able to, I use some musics, some early electronic musics in my works, and it's being debated whether we should take some rights, or whether we should just, you know, research about taking the rights and, you know, doing all those copyrights, etc. But I mean, no one did claim anything until now, and it's not works that are being sold. It's just like a piece of, you know, the sound is actually part of the work. It's not just because it's a nice sound, but it's just making, you know, like it's part of the contextual background of the work. And therefore, I think it would be really, really weird to talk about the copyright in that sense. But maybe if I work with a big museum, that would be the case, where the museum would help me get the copyright because they have all those rules, etc. But I think it's a very, you know, transparent subject. It just changes everywhere, and just the context just makes it different. So it's just very interesting in that sense.
Okay, thank you. I mean, I just wanted this bring, you know, for our class discussions as a real life case discussion, or, you know, so it was good to hear this too. Yeah. Is there any other question or comments, or Lara, do you want to say before concluding?
Well, right now, nothing comes to my mind. I wish we could do this, you know, more often than just once a week, and after the project ends, and that I could just, you know, get much more insight about what I did. That's the challenge. I don't want to repeat myself in that sense, but once you finish a work, you just, you know, need some space to talk about it. And it's the case in exhibitions as well. You just finished the exhibition, and an hour later, someone comes and asks you about the contextual background. You're just very keen on explaining because it's been what's made you start the project. But then, you know, you just wish you had more sleep. You just wish you had more time. And that's the challenge with these video projects. But it was really hard in the sense that I thought that editing, since I edit very fast, I thought it was going to be really fast and really easy. But I realized that I had this responsibility to find the correct images for everything, because, you know, sometimes it's just like, there's a narration and there's a narrative. So the narrative is there, but then the narration is formed with the images, and that's a different kind of text by itself. So that's what was challenging about it, because it wasn't just visuals I found and put them together. It was just another text by itself for myself. That's how I see it. And so it was fun. It was really fun. So I have to talk about that part as well. And I think that from now on, making my lectures in a video, like turning them into a video, would be a kind of something I would try. Obviously, it wasn't the same as John Berger, because the first time when I started making this project, I envisioned myself in it and talking just like John Berger. But then I said, no, you know, he's much more handsome. He's much more intelligent. He's much more, it's the 70s. It's much more cooler to have him on television, and it's BBC4. So it was a challenge. And no, I was too shy, basically. And I did not want my voice in the video either. But time-wise, I had to make a decision, you know, instead of finding someone who would make the voiceover, etc. So I had to make the decision to make everything myself. And that was challenging because I did learn so much from it. It was a good challenge in that sense. So I'm really happy I did take that. And I hope it just, you know, progresses to a more interesting place in the future.
Yeah, audio track was also, I mean, your sound choices was also very good. I mean, yeah, I enjoyed hearing it.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much then.
Thank you.
Yeah, and hope to discuss on the next thing.
Yeah.
In some environment. Okay,
Hopefully.
thank you.
Thank you, everyone. And thank you, Ekmel, and thank you, the festival, for giving me this opportunity, because it was just, you know, I used this opportunity, and it was something that, you know, you gave the inspiration for. So I'm really thankful.
Yeah, thank you. We thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Everybody. Thanks to everybody too.